Hello everybody, and welcome to one of your last flip videos, which will be over the ratio proportional reasoning unit. This lesson is going to cover how to convert customary units. Our learning target is that you, the student, will investigate how to convert between units. You might be doing this or something very similar to this in science, but we're going to look at the math behind all of this. So one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to write this number. We're going to write that as a ratio. So 45 fluid ounces, and I'm going to write it all out. 45 FLOZ, that's the abbreviation for fluid ounces, over 1. So that's going to be our simple ratio right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply that by the conversion factor. Now the thing that you have to remember here is that you want to arrange the conversion factor in such a way that the units are diagonal from each other. So if I look at my conversion table, I can find out that 1 cup equals 8 fluid ounces. When I do this, I can either write it as 1 cup over 8 fluid ounces or 8 fluid ounces over 1 cup. And if you look at one of those, if you look at both of those, I should say, if you look at them both, you'll notice that in this example right here, the 8 fluid ounces is on the bottom. And that's what you want. You ultimately want those units to be on the bottom. So I'm going to write 1, so I'm going to write right here, 1 cup over 8 fluid ounces. You'll notice right here that the fluid ounces are diagonal from each other. That's good because what you ultimately want them to do is you want them to cancel each other out. Just like we cross-cancel when we're multiplying fractions, we want our conversion unit to cancel. Okay, so now what we're left with is 45 times 1 cup, which equals 45 cups over 8. I'm just multiplying 45 times 1, 1 times 8. It's getting kind of messy, but I'm going to change that to a mixed number. So 45 divided by 8. Let's do top divided by bottom. 8 divides into 45, a total of 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40, and you get a remainder of 5. So when we write our answer, we get 5 and 5/8 cups. So the big takeaway from this lesson right here, from this slide, is that you want these units to be diagonal from each other. Okay, now in this example right here, we're going to convert 5 miles into a number of yards. We don't know what that is, so we're going to use dimensional analysis here. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to write 5 miles over 1, and then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply it. Now that, whatever we multiply it by, that's going to be our conversion factor. Now if you look at your table, these things will be provided for you, of course. You'll find out that 1 mile is equivalent to 1,760 yards. So your conversion factor, when you put all that together, are you going to do 1,760 yards over 1 mile, or 1 mile over 1,760 yards? You're going to multiply by one of these two conversion factors. Only one of them will make it so that miles is diagonal in this part. So we want miles of the fraction of the ratio. Okay, so the only one that gives us that scenario is 1,760 yards over 1 mile. So we're going to multiply by this. Okay, so you'll notice that the miles cancel out, and that's good. You want those to cancel out. You know you're doing it right if the units are diagonal from each other. Okay, now we just have to do 5 times 1,760. And when you do the arithmetic, you're allowed to use your calculators, of course. You get 8,800 yards. And the bottom number is 1, but we don't really have to do any converting or anything. That's just 8,800 yards. Alright, for our next example here, we're going to convert 4.5 inches into yards. One thing that might make this easier is if you think of 4.5 as 4.5 inches. That, I think, would be the best way to think of it. Here you go. I'm going to write my ratio, 4.5 inches over 1, and then I'm going to multiply that by the conversion factor. So our conversion factor is going to be based on how many inches are in a yard. So 1 yard equals how many inches? And that's, if you look at your table, you get 36 inches. So I want inches to be diagonal from those inches. So I better put 36 down here, and then 1 yard up top. Notice how I'm keeping in the labels as I'm doing this, just so that you know where everything is. Okay, so now the inches obviously cancel. Now just multiply, left to right. 4.5 times 1 is just 4.5 yards. Notice the yards did not cancel, so that's why I'm leaving it in the answer. And then that's going to be over 36. Okay? And this is definitely a good problem for your calculator. So 4.5 divided by 36. Remember, top divided by bottom. And when I do the math, I get on my calculator, I get a decimal. Now having a decimal like that is not going to be the best kind of answer. So one thing that I would recommend doing is changing that into a fraction. So 125 thousandths equals 125 thousandths. And then if you reduce that, it comes out to 1/8. So that's a better answer to have other than a decimal. So I'm going to get 4.5 inches equals 1/8 of a yard. So you can understand 4.5 inches is very small compared to a yard. A yard is 36 inches. A foot is 12 inches. So you can see right here that it's going to be small compared to what a yard really is. Okay, for this next example, what we're going to do is we're going to convert 6 feet into centimeters. How many centimeters are there in 6 feet? And like I keep stating here, you're always going to have the conversion factor given to you. So the conversion factor for centimeters is going to be, and we're going to start with inches here, is that 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. I should actually put a little about symbol. I should say it's approximately 2.54 centimeters. It's not exactly 2 and 5/400 centimeters, but that's a pretty good estimate for it. Okay, that's what it is when you round it to 2 decimal places. I'm going to go ahead and start this out. So I'm going to write 6 feet over 1. Now, if I try to use this conversion factor, now this is kind of unique to the lesson today because we haven't really had one of these yet, but if I try to use that conversion factor, 1 inch over 2.5 centimeters, you'll see neither of these units are going to cancel out. We want feet to cancel out. So if feet is in neither one of these, we need to make it so that there are feet. So in order to get the feet to cancel, I'm going to multiply by 12 inches equals 1 foot. Okay, so the 12 inches equals 1 foot, you'll notice, is a ratio that essentially equals 1. It equals 1 whole. So because 12 inches equals a foot and 1 foot equals 12. I know 12 over 1 does not equal 1, but the ratio itself, 12 inches to 1 foot, is an equivalent statement. You're basically saying, 1 foot equals 12 inches. 12 inches equals 1 foot. So there's no difference there. Okay, multiplying by 1. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by our conversion factor. Now our conversion factor is 1 inch is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters. So I'm going to have 2 and 5/400ths up here, centimeters. Notice how I'm keeping the labels in there, keeping everything intact, over 1 inch. Okay, so now you'll notice that we have feet diagonal from each other. That's good. Those cancel off. We have inches diagonal from each other. Those cancel off. So when you do this, when you're converting to a unit, the only one that does not get crossed out is the unit you're converting to. All right, so now I'm going to do the math. 6 times 12 times 2 and 5/400ths, all over 1 times 1 times 1. This is definitely a calculator problem. And when I hit equal on my calculator, this is what comes up, 182 and 88 hundredths centimeters. There you go. So if you're 6 feet tall, you're about 183 centimeters tall. Okay, so that does it for our lesson. So make sure that when you guys are converting these units, that you want these units, the original unit, you want that to cancel out because you don't want that to be left in the answer. Make sure you put things diagonal from each other to make sure that they cancel each other out. Okay, that does it. Everyone have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.